Welcome back to the YouTube channel of the Windsurf Coach, and welcome back to the third edition of Wind Life. There are quite some interesting things happening this week in Wind Life. There's gonna be an awesome windsurf session. I'm gonna test some wing equipment, and I have some good news about Isabella. I have quite an interesting battle coming up between a fin and a wing foiler. Whoever thought that that would be a battle? I'm gonna be on the fin, and the wing foiler will be Felix Drent. He's a young guy, upcoming talent in the racing scene, so he's fast. What we want to find out today is the foil in wing configuration in the hands of Felix Drent, just as fast or maybe even faster already than the fin in my hands. Well, the conditions are quite challenging to say the least. I see Felix has found a safer place on the other end of the lake where the water is more flat and the wind isn't that strong. But I think I'm just gonna rig my 4.4. 5.2 is a bit too challenging, I think, for me today. Let's head out and check what we can do. I'm using an older starboard Isonic, a 94 liters, in combination with a Severn Freak 4.4. At times it's hard to stay in control, even though I'm only using a 4.4. It's incredible. Let's make the most of it and just have some fun. Yeah, I always wanted to do that. Fully over the top of the mast with a slalom board. Did I really? We're gonna check later. Well, that didn't quite turn out the way we expected. In the beginning the wind was so strong that Felix could only stay on the other side of the lake in the shelter of the trees. And for me it was just insane. I couldn't even handle my slalom board with my 4.4. I was just flying all over the place. It was crazy. But then again, it was a bit of fun, so no drag race, fin versus wing foil. That we will save for a later date. As we couldn't race next to each other, we just did a comparison of the GPS data. For the wing foil it was top speed of 52.4 kilometers an hour. The windsurf board just had the edge with a 53.8 kilometers an hour. That's not as fast as we usually go, and this is because of the really tricky conditions with gusts up to 40 knots and a nasty chop at my home spot. But I did manage to do a front loop over the top of the mast, so fully upside down instead of just a spin loop. Now it's time to watch the soccer match between the Netherlands and Turkey. It's Sunday morning. Isabel is feeling slightly better. That's really nice. She did get a bit of sleep, and she can get out of bed a little. It's still a bit shaky. At this moment I haven't released the second edition of Wind Life yet. I'm still working on it because of what happened last week. I'm also checking the wind, and there is still a possibility for a session. It's gonna rain as well, and then the wind will drop, so I think I need to go out quickly. That felt good, and especially knowing that Isabel is doing a bit better also helps quite a lot. It's Monday morning and look who is back and smiling. I'm really happy to see her back, and hopefully she will be up and running, and of course wind foiling as soon as possible. For me today is a rest day, and that means finishing Wind Life Edition Part 2. I also want to get my hands on some test equipment, so I'm gonna call Olivier to see if he's got anything for me related to windsurfing, wind foiling or wing foiling. The second edition of Wind Life is just uploaded and will come online. And as you can see, I'm right here at my vegetable garden, and if I take a look at what I did last week, there's hardly anything left of what I planted last week. And if I take a closer look at the tracks, you can clearly see that those are deer tracks. I talked to Olivier from Vandenbergsurf in Almere, and he has arranged some goodies that I can test. He will bring them to Almere on Wednesday, so I can pick them up there, and then I hope to test them as quickly as possible. And of course I'll take you along on every test session. What is he gonna get for me? Some windsurf gear, some wing foil gear, some wind foil gear, I don't know yet. We're gonna find out on Wednesday. And now it's time to check out some videos from Gran Canaria Pozo, the PWA slalom races. I want to see what happened there. Good morning guys, it's Tuesday. I'm checking the weather forecast. Today there's not much wind, 7 to 12 knots in the morning, and thereafter the wind dies a bit. I have an appointment with the dentist in the morning, so I can't go out anyway. The wind would be good for wind foiling with a 9.0 or wing foiling if it's enough, but then actually you might want to need a downwind board or something like it. I don't have a downwind board. With my 7.0 and my wing gear, I can get up on the foil with wind like this, but you need a little gust to get going, and especially if you don't have a board that's fast onto the plane, you will have problems getting up and going. Tomorrow looks a bit better though. If you can see the forecast, it says wind up to 16 or 17 knots in the gust, and that will make it a lot easier. Then at least you can go windsurfing, wind foiling or winging. But for today, after the dentist, I think I'm gonna go running, and then I still have to do some videos and stuff, so it's gonna be a good day. But unfortunately no windsurfing today. Quickly checking the questions and remarks on the YouTube channel of the Windsurf coach, and I see that Spoots Water Sports has made a comment, and they say, I love blasting on my 72 wide board with a 38 centimeter fin and a 7.8 in only 15 knots, and I'm flying. And that is in response to, is the light wind fin dead? Spoots Water Sport, you're absolutely right. As soon as the basic wind gets up to 15 knots with a 7.8 and a medium board, you'll be flying. And that is, I think, my favorite choice, because then the water state is not that messy and you can be very fast. Normally the wind is also a bit more stable, and you're guaranteed that you can fly all day long. I love that feeling. Well, I'm back. It's the first time I had an anesthesia at the dentist, and I must say I didn't feel anything of it except for a weird feeling in my cheek and my head for a while, but that has passed, and now it's time to do something. Although there is no wind at all, I checked and rechecked to make sure that I wouldn't miss out on a session, but absolutely no chance today, so I'll go for a run. Wow, the sweat is dripping in my eyes. That was so hot. 29 degrees, and I think the humidity is quite high. I haven't been running in temperatures like these since last year, I think. Whew. But it was nice to be outside, and I'm really happy that I can now refill some of this fluid. Absolutely necessary. When it's hot and you're running, make sure you drink enough. Good morning, it's Wednesday morning and I was just checking the weather forecast and the wind looks good for this afternoon. 10 to 16, maybe even 17 knots in the forecast. That means that we can do some testing in the afternoon. But first, Isabel is doing slightly better and we hope that we can walk just a little bit. I hope we can do 1 or 2 kilometers. This afternoon, Olivier from vandenbergsurf will bring some new toys for me to test. I just got 2 pieces of equipment for testing. It's wing foiling equipment. First of all, it's the Nova Pro by North. It's a freeride performance wing and I'm really curious to see what it brings me. I have been testing the North Mode Pro, which was absolutely fast and it was powerful, but I hope this one will be a bit more playful as well, as I like a playful wing. Besides that, I've been given a light wind or a downwind board. Today the wind is pretty good. I'm just gonna stick with what I normally use, my duotone Skywing with my F4 foils, and I'm gonna use the Nova Pro. Nice and stable. And a lot of forward pull. As soon as you power up the wing again, this just pulls you around the corner. It makes it easy to make those jibes. Oh, and I love the feeling of the boom, it's so natural. The control on the neutral handle is perfect. I remember the Mode Pro having a bit of problems with the transitions. Let's see if this is better. Oh, I love the feeling, it is so good. This is a wing I like. Whoa, and if there's a little gust, this wing is really powerful, so it's also fast. So let's get some air. It's so powerful that you can go down half a meter in size compared to the regular wing. The video I'm just showing you now is the video where I just got onto the water, so these are the first meters with this Nova Pro and it feels so natural that it's like I've been using this wing forever. I've just been playing around with the Nova Pro for about 2 hours. First time it felt really stable, nice, and if you take a look at how it is finished, this is top quality, really nice to see. Their special N-weave material, specially made by North, feels strong. The profile is very rigid. It looks like the draft is a bit more forward than the wing that I usually use, and I absolutely am a fan of the boom. You can change the boom, you can slide it to the front or to the back or remove it and replace them by hard handles if you want to. The windows are not that large but very efficient. If I take a look at the trailing edge, I've seen no flutter at all. Of course they have a few of the mini buttons which can be replaced very easily, but the Nova Pro looks good, it feels great. I like the wing, it's far more playful than the Mode Pro. The Nova Pro still has that huge amount of power, but it's also easier for the transitioning than the Mode Pro. So if transitions are your thing, this is absolutely a wing for you. And I think it will be a wing that almost everybody will like. And of course, let's not forget, tonight is gonna be the match of the semi-finals between the Netherlands and England to decide who is going through to the next round of the European Championships soccer. It's gonna be an exciting match. I'll be wearing orange. Isabella just won something in a promotional action from Telstar for me. It's not just a t-shirt. Look at this, guys. Nash, and signed by Robbie Nash himself, the legend. And she gave it to me, so I am happy. It's Thursday morning, and do you remember that yesterday I also picked up that downwind board at Vandenberg? Well, I'm gonna test it today. I'm hoping for a board that's capable of picking up enough speed in very light winds to activate that foil. The wind is light, so I'm gonna use my 6 square meters. Oh yeah, this is really nice. The board has enough glide to pick up speed, so you can activate that foil and get onto the foil. Here I'm also using a very small foil. Actually, it's only a 800 square centimeter f4 foil in those light winds. Look around, there's almost no wind. Stepping onto this board with its length and 120 liters volume is really a relief compared to my 75 liter short board, as it's much more stable, so you can focus on balancing and waiting for that little gust to get you going. With its 2 meter length, it's relatively short compared to those performance boards that you'll see that will get you up to speed in no wind at all. But this is a really nice compromise for me, as it's still easy to stash in your car, but it still has enough stability and glide to get you up onto that foil. One of the things that also stand out is the controllability. Due to its length and the long deck pad, you can place your feet almost anywhere on the board, which makes it easier to control the foil. And besides that, due to the bottom shape, if you accidentally touch the water, you can glide through without any drag. This will make the board so much more forgiving, especially when you want to push for speed. The RRD NARWHAL, it's a custom-made board. It's 2 meters long, it's 54 centimeters wide and has a volume of 120 liters. It's made as a downwind board. I think it's quite interesting. It gets you up in flying in the lightest of breezes, and you can use smaller foils as it is so easy to pick up speed. That is really the big advantage of it. I tested it without the straps today, but you have a lot of options for the straps. I think it's even 5 different straps options for the front and the back. That means that you can play with it quite a bit. It has quite long tracks, so you can use all kinds of different foils. What I really like about the board is how easy it is to get onto the foil. It just feels like one of those old light wind windsurf boards, you know, the round bottom boards we used. It also has that feeling of just gliding easily through the water, picking up enough speed just to activate that foil and get you up and flying. One more thing that you'll immediately notice is how thick this board is. I think it's maybe even 20 centimeters thick or so. When I climbed onto the board, you immediately notice that it has a lot of flotation and it's very long. That means that it's very stable, as it's also quite slim, 54 centimeters wide. I was a bit afraid that it would be a bit wobbly, because it's the first time for me I've been on a board like this. But actually it isn't. Due to the foil, it just stabilizes it. It's a light board, it looks amazing, it feels great. If you want an early glide, or if you have those shifty, light wind, patchy conditions at your home spot, this will be a perfect board. Also, gliding it off a wave with just a very small wing, you will pick up speed, get you up and flying, so you don't need to pack those big wings anymore. I'm not an expert in downwind boards. This is the first time I've ridden one. I think it's quite interesting stuff. It's Friday evening and I've got quite some catching up to do. For me today it was a rest day. It was quite rainy, so that was a perfect timing. Well, I had quite some fun this week. It started out with that awesome windsurf session. Of course I would have loved to do the drag race, but we'll save that for a later date. And then the test equipment. Thank you, Olivier, for all the equipment that I could use to see how it worked. The downwind board and the Nova Pro. I really loved the Nova Pro from the start, and the downwind board, I think that will be a really nice addition to my quiver. If you liked the video, leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel of the Windsurf Coach, so you don't have to miss out on any of the action. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. I will see you on the water.